back to Coach Caroline's channel. And I'm here today with Coach Roxie. I'm so excited for you to meet Coach Roxie. I'm going to read out her bio first. Coach Roxie is a trailblazer, a survivor, and a force for transformation. As the founder of Not One More Incorporated, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering female survivors of abuse, Roxie has made it her mission to guide women from survival to victory. She is a #1 best-selling author, evangelist, life and book coach, and dynamic speaker who inspires audiences with her story of resilience and hope. Through her coaching, she helps women heal, build impactful brands, and transform their pain into purpose. Roxie's work is a testament to the power of courage, compassion, and community, and she continues to create a ripple effect of empowerment for women worldwide. Wow, wow, wow. Coach Roxie, your story and mission are truly inspiring. And I know that off screen, you and I have had a powerful conversation where I heard your story. I can't wait for you to share your knowledge with women because you help them to heal, you help them to find their voice. It's so needed and so impactful. Thank you for allowing us to dive deep into your journey today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm excited about being here, and I just want to say that I'm so grateful for you inviting me here to be a part of your channel.
Amazing, amazing. We're the lucky ones.
Yes.
Okay, so Coach Roxie, tell us about the title of your book and what inspired you to write this book.
Yes. Well, the title of my book is Rediscovering You After the Abuse. Rediscovering You After the Abuse. And
Mm,
the reason I wrote that book was because I'm very passionate about women's being transformed after coming out of abusive relationship. And
mm,
the book actually is one of unimaginable pain. I went through deep pain and deep fear, deep shame. I was to the point of being broke, as some would probably say, to no return. And I thought that I wasn't ever going to get out of the situation. I was in that abusive marriage for 30 years. 30 years, very long time.
mm.
And one day I decided that I could not stay there any longer. And so I escaped.
Right.
Yes, I escaped. After I escaped and I became free, um, seeing someone else go through that would have been, and I knew they had when been through would have been very painful for me. So I
Mm,
wanted to make sure that no one else endured what I endured. And
mm,
so I began to build build a business, and that business was Not One More. And from the business, I began to write a book. I wanted to not just leave my story as just amplifying my voice. I wanted to leave it in on paper, and I
mm,
wanted it as a legacy for generations to come. And so I
mm,
began to write and I began to write and I began to share. And as I began to write, it's like my eyes became even more open um, to my healing. As I
mm.
wrote, I was healed. I was being healed in places and areas that I didn't even know that I had suppressed it.
Right.
Yes, and so writing the book caused me to become um, to be healed more. It caused me to become very educated about what I had already known, but I got a chance to go deeper, and I was just inspired to not see one woman go through what I went through.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what are the core messages and themes that you hope readers take away from your book?
Well, I I hope that they take away the um the knowledge that No one has to stay in a toxic relationship.
Right.
I hope they take away the difference in knowing what abuse is and the different types of abuse. Most
Mm,
people think that physical abuse is the only abuse, but
mm,
there are so many other forms. There are verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse. There's cultural abuse. There's child
mm,
abuse. There's religion abuse. Abuse is in so many forms. And we
mm.
know that when we are not knowledgeable of something, we can
Right.
be a part of it because we don't know we're in it. And
Right.
so knowledge is powerful. So
Right.
the main thing that I would like for anyone that's listening or will listen is to take a way to become educated.
Right.
Educate yourself uh, with knowledge of the different types of abuse
Right.
and what to do if you're in an abusive situation.
So I am curious. You said you were in this relationship for 30 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Why were you in this relationship for 30 years? Like what made you stay?
Well, Coach Caroline, and the abuse started at very early into the marriage, and
Right.
I got married at 17 years old, and so a year in is when the physical abuse started. And so by me being seeing my mother and my grandmother going in some type of abuse, it wasn't physical, but it was abuse. I just at that time I thought it was just the way it is. And
Mm,
then I began to educate myself and see
right.
abuse is learned behavior. And
Right.
so I learned from my mother and my grandmother what uh what abuse was, but I thought it was just a form of living.
Wow.
Yes, and then I realized that it was not, that is not the way we are to be treated. And so as the
So
years
that's like a
right,
generational
it's a
pattern.
generational circle, yeah, cycle. Yes,
Wow.
ma'am, it is. It is. And it has to be broken. And when me myself having a daughter and granddaughters, I didn't want them to experience
Right.
what I had experienced. And so I began to educate myself maybe 4 or 5 years into the marriage. But the times that I decided to leave, he became very um, just aggressive, and he
Right.
began to threaten me with words, and
Right.
even my life. And
Mm,
so the physical abuse didn't last many years, but it became very verbal and
yeah.
psychological and sexual. So I was threatened by my life, threatened with my son's life, and so the threat turned into fear, and the
Mm,
fear uh, began to paralyze me, and I began to walk around on eggshells. And so all I could think about at that time was, if I did escape and he find me, what would be the consequences? And so fear kept me there.
yeah.
Fear, fear, and hoping that he would change.
Right. Mm, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Coach Roxie, we're talking about some very sensitive and deep topics. Let's go back to your book. Let's go back to your book. What was the most challenging part of writing this book, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the most challenging part, Coach Caroline, was to write.
Mm,
Reliving to write was pretty much like going back and living that life again.
right.
And I found out that reliving it um, showed me where I wasn't completely healed, that I had suppressed a lot
Mm,
of emotions. I had suppressed the things that I didn't want to talk about, didn't want anybody to hear about. But
mm,
I also learned that I had to be vulnerable. I had
Mm,
to open myself up and open those wounds up so that other people can hear the truth. I was suppressing the pieces that could actually be the part that someone need to
yeah.
be healed. And so after knowing that this book was just not a, it wasn't just a mission, I felt like it was a call. I felt like it was a call
Mm,
uh, to help so many other women, because there are so many women that are silent, that's actually living in silence.
right.
There are so many women that wear a mask. And so
Mm,
I was one of those women's that wore a mask. I wore a mask to work. I wore a mask to church. I wore a mask everywhere that I went besides home.
yeah.
Home was the only place that I could be myself, but still I wasn't myself. I
Right.
became I became powerless. I became silenced. I became broken. Uh, and I just endured a lot of trauma. But I
Right.
knew that this book wasn't just for me. So
Mm,
that's why I decided to write. But the book was for every woman who has ever felt the way that I once did,
yeah.
whether they was broken or unsure of how to move forward.
Yeah.
I knew that this book would help. I'm a firm believer that everybody has a story in
Mm,
them. And I'm a firm believer that somebody somewhere needs to hear from you.
yeah.
And I just want to inspire other women
Yeah.
to just write, take their thoughts, and just put the pen to the paper.
Yeah. To overcome the fear.
Overcome the fear. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And fear can paralyze you. Fear can put you in a dark place. I was in a very dark, deep hole.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was by the grace of God that writing helped to pull me out.
Mm,
But it was very
yeah.
challenging to write. It was very challenging. But I set myself goals to where I can get it all out.
Yeah. Well, this is what my next question was. I wanted to ask you about your writing process. How
Yes.
did you stay motivated
Um,
and productive during your writing process? What tools, tips, or techniques can you give us that you use?
well, I'm gonna say this from the top. It wasn't a small task. It wasn't. Because when you think about it, who wants to relive?
Right.
So what kept me motivated was the fact that if I can just say one woman, just one, that it would be worth the pain of going through it writing.
Right.
So I kept myself motivated, and the more I heard on social media or heard on the news where someone even had lost their life, it motivated me to write even the more, and it even caused me to write at a faster pace,
Mm,
because I didn't want to just have it sitting on my desk. It needed to be published.
right.
Yes, it needed to be visible. It needed to be on a platform where whoever needed it, it was available to them.
Mm,
So yes, so I was motivated by the fact that when when I'm no longer here, the book is still here.
yeah.
I was motivated by the fact that it may even be someone in my family that needs the book. So I
Right.
won't be just writing a book, I'll be leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
And it can even become wealth for me, because I do one day wants to open up a home, a shelter for women and children who has nowhere to go.
Mm,
Not
mm,
having somewhere to go kept me where I was for a very long time.
yeah.
And there's not enough shelters, or there's not enough space out in the world for all the women who are going through um, these challenges and that are
Right.
suffering. So
Yeah.
one day, that is my desire, is to open up a not one more shelter.
Amazing.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
how has publishing your book and becoming a bestseller, how has it impacted your personal brand and your incorporated business, your career?
Yes, yes. It has caused me, first of all, it has educated me. a lot of things that I didn't know about publishing, especially with self-publishing. But writing the book has given me authority. It
Mm,
has given me credibility.
mm,
It has given me an audience that I did
mm,
not have, platforms that I did not have. It has
mm.
caused me to meet people from all over the world that I never even thought I would meet, like yourself. You're in Taiwan. I never
Yes.
talked to anyone in Taiwan. And so it gave me all of those things. And the one thing that I like the most is the authority that it gives. It gives
Right.
me the opportunity to take my book. If I want to
Mm,
turn it into a video, if I want to turn it into a movie, if I want to
mm.
turn it into a stage play, if I
Yeah.
want to turn it into um, a course, online course,
Mm,
I have the authority to use this book any way possible that I choose to.
yeah.
And it taught me how to become a self-publisher. You
Mm,
know, I never thought, because there are women's that call sometimes just needing something done, and so self-publishing helped me to have the finances to be able to do that, because the money that I would have spent getting a publisher to do it would have cost a lot. And so I'm always careful about keeping something on me so I can help other women's.
mm.
um Yes, and women's, they go through so much. I remember one time, a young lady that I helped, somebody that knew me, that knew her, gave her my number, and when I talked with her, this young lady was living in her car with her children in a cemetery,
Oh,
because
wow.
she said that she felt that was the safest place, and she felt that would be the place where her abuser could not find her. But we was able to get her out of that, and we was able to get her to another state. Ye
Amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
That's what
Wow.
my one does.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. The world needs Coach Roxie. Needs you, needs your book, needs your company. Yeah. Yeah.
And that one more is, a nonprofit. It's 501(c)(3).
Right.
So, yes. So we are part of the state,
Yeah.
and we help, what we don't have, we help them to get.
Mm. If you could describe your book in 3 words, what would they be?
Transformative, inspiration, and healing.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Well, I have one more question for you.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
What advice would you give to aspiring authors who are struggling to start or even complete their book?
Yes, yes. I want to say to you that if you have just a thought, one sentence, just a title, write it on paper. There are ways that you would not even believe, that once you um, put that thought or that title on paper, you can now start with copywriting your book. You can actually get that thought copyrighted. You don't have to wait till your book is finished. You can go right in, and you can even pre-sale your book. That thought, pre-sale that thought. Because once you pre-sale and you see where the world is ordering it on a pre-sale, it just inspire you more to write. Now that you know that you have a date that you have to finish your book, you'll set times, you'll set goals. It would even encourage you, um, to encourage somebody else. Writing is therapeutic. I'm sorry, and writing helps heal. It helps heal. So
Yeah.
anybody that's inspiring, and let me say this: if you feel that you are stuck, as I once did, I had to reach out and find a book coach. And
Mm,
so I want to encourage anyone that's listening. If
mm,
you're stuck and you need a book coach, You have one here, Coach Caroline. Get in touch with Coach Caroline, and I promise you, she will get you on the pathway you need to be. Yes.
Thank you. Coach Roxie, amazing. Thank you for sharing your incredible story and the impactful work that you're doing. Your insights, your passion, our audience has gained so much valuable wisdom from you sharing your journey. It's an honor to have you here. Where can we find you on social media?
Yes. You can
Online.
find me. Yes, you can find me on Facebook. The name of my Facebook page, one of them is just Roxie Durrah, Roxiedurrah. Then you can find me at not the number one more. You can
Mhm.
also find me on Facebook under Roxie's Community. You can find me on my website, which is not one more. I'm gonna have to send it to Coach Caroline. Yes, but you can
Yeah.
find me on Twitter and Instagram up under my name as well, Roxie Durrah. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. And I will put all of these links to how people can find you. I'll put them in the description of this interview.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. Coach
Yes.
Roxie, I can't wait to see the continued effect of your amazing mission. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, it has been a pleasure.